All right, guys, welcome to another episode of Black Geek Energy. And on today's show, look, some guests come on the show, and some guests actually help start the
Mm,
show.
mm,
Today's guest was actually our very first guest ever, and
Mm.
now he's back for the third time, which at this point just makes him a part of the foundations over here at Black Geek Energy. If you don't know by now, you need to queue up these past episodes because he is a comic book writer who's worked on titles like Aquaman and Star Wars Adventures. And now he's back with his latest project, Ancestral Recall, a story that blends Black history, sci fi, and the supernatural in a way you don't really see in comics nowadays. Every single time he pulls up the conversation, yeah, the conversation gets better. So now we had to run another one for the release of his trade paperback of this book. Anyways, so give a big round of applause for Jordan Clark.
Yeah.
Yay!
Appreciate y'all having me back on again. I feel like might need to do the SNL thing where I get like a jacket or like
I
a
know.
Oh yeah.
like a pin or something.
I know. I know. Okay, Jordan. I always start with the hardest question first.
Yeah.
I always start with the hardest question first. And I just gotta ask, I have booked you twice already. This time was kind of different. Jordan has got some people. I received the email like, would you like for? I'm like, what? I was about to ask him because I knew that the stuff was coming out. I saw all the stuff on TikTok. I was like, I was about to ask him, just had to get up the nerves and write the proposal. And then here comes Jordan's people up in there, BGE. I was like, excuse me. Okay, Jordan's people. Jordan, I guess that you real big time now.
Well, we're trying to promote the book as big as possible. So shout out to Hannah who's been handling a lot of the publicity for Ahoy. Yeah, I think, it's difficult. I mean, you can attest, just even doing the podcast, like booking people, trying to, coordinate all the schedules and all that stuff. So I'm very grateful that, Ahoy has helped out with that and been able to kind of schedule stuff like this. When she sent the email, I was like, I know them.
This is
Not
real.
even in a way. Yeah, I mean, it wasn't even a way that was like, like, all right, Black Geek Energy, whatever. It was more just like, oh, it's weird to get an email asking if I want to go on a show that I've already been on twice.
Yeah. It was real professional. We were like, you could just be like,
Very.
hey guys, can I come on the show? That could have been the email. That
Yeah.
could have been the text.
Yeah.
No, I was like, I could have hit him up, but I guess sometimes you go through the official channels, right? So.
Yeah,
Yeah.
you had to flex on us real quick.
I know Jordan has gotten big time now, but I'm still gonna
Hey,
hit you up in the Instagram DMs. So
absolutely.
don't look at me funny now that you got the people. I knew you first, all right?
No, I
Okay.
mean that's. I
Oh
was just gonna
yeah.
say, we're family, so it's
Mhm.
Yeah.
it's never anything if you guys ever need me to come on the show or anything like that. I'm always great to talk with y'all.
Thank
Absolutely.
you. Thank you. Okay, Jordan, we're gonna start this week off like we start every week. We're gonna get to Ancestral Recall in a minute, but how's your past week been?
It's been it's been pretty good. I wasn't gonna say, anything negative. I don't know how you all feel just living in current times, but like I've
Child.
been trying to practice a bit more mindfulness for sure, but also just like I guess I would say, like intentionalness with the way that I I choose to spend my time and interact with things because I feel like there's a lot of things that are trying to distract you from just just general life, general happiness. And so I feel like it's kind of easy to get sucked into not only just like negative spirals through like social media and stuff like that, but I feel like it's also kind of just even, we're in a geek space, right? And so like a lot of what's coming across your feed, and we know this, we know that how the algorithms work is the negativity is what gets the platform and bumped up. And so you're seeing basically just like, oh, this sucked, or like this came out and I didn't like it, or can you believe that they did X, Y, and Z in this comic or whatever? And you're just kind of like, I'm trying to get back to the things that I like and enjoy and having conversations with people who like things and enjoy things and talk about it that way. So I would say this past week has kind of been a little bit of like a reset, in terms of just kind of trying to take it easy and not let myself get caught up in too much drama going on, as opposed to like trying to find the things that I'm enjoying and taking it easy with that. So
Okay.
Yeah.
Okay.
Nice. So
That's
does
it.
that mean like trying to like stay out of the news as much? Like you don't want to see what Trump's doing every day?
it's crazy because you kind of have to be aware of things that are going on. So, I peep my head out, every once in a while just to get a wind of what's going on. But also
Mhm.
like, um, I mean, if we're talking about that specifically, you know, dude is crazy. So
Yeah.
every 5 minutes something different is happening. So it's not even like it's not worth it to stay informed about what's going on. But like
Mhm.
10 minutes from the last crazy thing you heard could be something completely different. And then it's just like, I just spent 5 minutes trying to process the last thing and now we're
Right.
doing whatever. So it's like, I'll check in when I need to, and I kind of have
Mhm.
my trusted sources that I can go to and be like, all right, I guess that's
Yeah.
happening. But also, again, not to get like, super woo woo or whatever with it, but like trying to hold on to the things that you can control, and like you can't control that, man. So
Absolutely.
uh
Absolutely. I might have been in therapy.
Now, I
Control what
know,
you can control. Worry about what you can control.
yeah, I know exactly what you're talking about because I was playing D&D last night. We had so much fun. I run a D&D campaign, and um, my people were running from a beholder zombie. It was
Mm.
Mm.
great, great adventures. And then the thing is over, and I've checked my phone. The president's obviously a Skywalker at this point, and I'm just like, why? Why? So I just went in bed and I just kept listening to my lit RPG about ants.
Mm.
Mm.
and yeah, it just didn't make no sense. But
Yeah,
doing geek stuff was a great escape from all of the Trump nonsense going on.
absolutely.
Oh,
Yeah.
absolutely, yeah. My previous week, it's been pretty good. I've been working from home because we're moving offices. And I'm not a work from home person, but this week of like just being like not having to get up early, not having to like fight traffic, I can, take a few more breaks than than the rules is written.
Mm-hmm.
So yeah, it's been hella smooth. And I went on a hike yesterday, and I'm not a hiker. I'm not a big walk outside with no destination person.
Mhm.
So, but it was real nice. Like,
Yeah.
yeah, it was like we did like maybe 2.5 miles. No, we did like almost 3.5 miles. And like when I got home, I was like, we were supposed to like go out last night, but like when we got home, we was like, hey, a nap sounds pretty good. Slept the rest of
Mm,
the night.
mm. So you have that work from home thing, like it's like, you could be home, so you're playing video games while the
Hey, what?
meeting is going on.
Absolutely not. Who
but
would do that
uh
on
but
company
people
time?
but people say that they still get their work, if not more work done. So are you feeling that?
Um, More
or
work
you
than
feel like a
I would.
slack off?
Oh no, I low key do feel like I get more stuff done just because there's less distractions. Like
Mm.
when I come in here, I close the door, like I'm locked in. Versus like in the office, it's like, oh, can we meet real quick? Like somebody come over to my desk and I get to chat, and that's what 30 minutes going right there. Um, I don't have to like get up and leave the office and go to the bathroom. Well, the way the bathrooms were in my office, the bathrooms like outside. It was kind of weird. Uh,
Outside? Are you a deer? Like, why are you using the
not out,
outhouse?
not like they were just like detached from the building. Like once you were in the bathroom, that was enclosed as well.
The
Uh, they just detached from the main
Demarcus,
building.
why doesn't your office have a bathroom in the office? Does your
I
new
don't
office
know.
have
I
a
do not know
bathroom
why
in
I
the
was doing it.
office?
I'm not the architect. You asking me the questions. Hey, I can only worry about what I can control.
So does the new office have bathrooms in the office? So you don't have
I
to
don't
go
know.
down to the local Starbucks and use the office. You haven't
I
used
don't
the
know. I haven't
bathroom.
seen it. I haven't seen it yet. Um, they
Oh
said what
my
I've heard
God.
is the kitchen is supposed to be in the middle of the office, though, and I'm like, that's weird.
Why are y'all worried about the kitchen? Y'all need to start at the basics. Prisons have bathrooms, Demarcus.
Hey, a kitchen is like a basic need at the office. I
No,
need
it's not.
snacks.
Have a bathroom first. You can't even poop where you work at on company time because you have to go outside the
Mm.
building.
And that's what I would do.
Mm,
Mhm.
okay. Well, um, my week has been uneventful as usual. Um,
We need to start
I'm
living a life.
I know, right? I walk 2 miles just in the woods outside my not the woods, but I live out in a
Hmm.
rural area. So I just walk up and down the street. So it's like I'm walking in the woods. So I
Mm,
walk about 2 miles in that every day, but it's not like up and
okay.
down hills like in California with like a walking stick. So
Hmm.
there are stray dogs that come out.
So you
Um,
need a walking stick.
Mm. Hmm.
no, I'm a dog person. Like I'd be like, "Hey, dog." They be like,
I want to
"Ruff,
be a
ruff,
neighbor
ruff."
so bad.
But yeah, I've also been listening to Chrysalis. This the new
Hmm.
lit RPG isekai book audiobook that I am listening to. It is so good. I love it. Jordan, have you heard about the lit RPGs, the Dungeon Crawler Carl, the
Yeah.
Discount Dan, the have you
Discount
read any?
Dan.
Yeah, it's supposed to be really fun. I'm about to listen to that one next. But have you read these yet?
I've started the Dungeon Crawler Carl series, which was a lot of fun.
Hmm.
But I haven't gotten into the other ones yet. So now that you're mentioning it, I need to put them back on my list so I can tap in.
Chrysalis. Okay, Chrysalis is about
Okay.
this guy, this 15-year-old who gets turned into an ant after he dies on Earth. And it's so good. Like the first 76 chapters of this book, he doesn't talk to anybody. It is
Mm.
so
Okay.
compelling that you want to know what is going on. And like throughout the book and before certain chapters, there may be a small excerpt of how the world works, or like a narrator or a historian or something. And it's so great. It's so amazing
Okay.
how he does this book. And I'm on book 6 now, and I can't stop listening to them. So yeah, his next book comes out in June, and Dungeon Crawler Carl. So where are you in Dungeon Crawler Carl?
I just finished the second book. So
Oh, way ahead of me.
yeah.
Way
Mm,
ahead of me.
yeah.
But now
Well,
I saw too that they're doing them as like graphic novels now.
mhm.
Mm.
And I feel like I've heard there's gonna be like an animated series.
Mm.
Yeah, Seth Rogen.
Um, yeah, so they're
Is it?
really, like building that out.
Yeah, yeah, on Paramount Plus. I don't know if it's animated or live action, but
Mm,
he's doing it now.
yeah.
But yeah, Dungeon Crawler Call is great. I'm waiting on that one next month. The new Chrysalis book comes out, after that. So I'm really into these lit
Yeah.
RPGs. Haven't even done any of my animes or manga stuff. So. Yeah, but that's all that my week has been. I've I've been through two of those books this week. I'm just laying down in a dark room and just absorbing them all. So yeah, that's been great for me. That's
So
been
Jordan,
great.
are you like reading the actual books, or are you doing the audiobook too?
I'm reading the actual books. I always feel like the thing that messes me up with an audiobook is
Mm.
like we all have our own like internal reading speed.
Mhm.
And so
Mm.
listening to like a narrator, sometimes it's like if they're not kind of matching kind of how I normally read, like the pace I normally read at,
Mm-hmm.
it kind of throws me off because like I clearly love a podcast and like an audio drama and stuff like that. But something like in a book, I kind of either need to be physically reading it,
Mm-hmm.
or if I'm listening to it, like I, I think audiobooks really just come down to the person who's narrating it, like their
Mm.
energy and their
Yeah,
pacing
Yeah.
and all
absolutely.
that stuff. So like it can kind of throw you off. So I haven't listened to the Dungeon Carl like audiobooks yet, but I mean I've
Mhm.
heard good things, so maybe I'll try it with the next one and see how it feels.
It's
Yeah.
amazing. It is
I'm.
amazing. And the only thing is he does all of the voices.
Okay.
Like I thought he had a full studio production. He is doing everybody in there. And the person who does Dungeon Crawler Carl also does the Chrysalis book. So
Okay.
I really think that that's why I like the Chrysalis book so much. With Chrysalis audio book. But yeah, the person who is reading this is amazing. Is amazing.
All right.
Okay, I'm like that too, Jordan. Like I'm like I have I'm you're not supposed to do this, but I read with the voices in my head, like
Mhm.
Mm.
and sometimes the audiobook person is just like boring. It's like I can make this more
Mhm.
fun for myself.
Yeah. 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 And I think that's the thing too, because I was listening to another one and I can't even finish it because it was so
Hmm.
Mm.
boring. And the other thing is I have to be without any distractions. Like I
Okay.
was listening to the
Hmm.
audiobook and walking. If a squirrel run across the street, that's 45 seconds that I've lost in the audiobook. Then I gotta go back 60 seconds to catch up with where I was. So no distractions at all. I have to be a mind of zen. And I think that's might be why I like it, because I'm not thinking,
Hmm.
I'm not
Right.
overthinking anything. So I don't know, maybe a form of meditation for me.
Yeah. Yeah. Okay.
Okay, Demarcus, at this point, let's go ahead and move on to our Put You On segment. Jordan, you know
Mm.
how this works. We are going to put our listeners on to something that we have liked recently, whether it is a podcast or a movie or a TV show or a book or anything. And this is sponsored by our good friends at Movie Pass. So, Demarcus, can you please tell them a little bit about Movie Pass?
Absolutely. ScoobyPass is a subscription-based service. You download the app, go ahead and do your sign up and everything, and they will send you a Movie Pass card that acts just like a debit card, and you can use that to buy movie tickets in theaters from any theater: Regal, AMC, Cinemark, Cinepolis, any place where you go see movies. You can use that to buy your tickets. The whole thing, the whole premise, the whole reason MoviePass is here is to make it easier, cheaper, and more affordable for you and your friends to go to the movies. I was using it before they sponsored the podcast, and it definitely does that in spades. I had like the lowest tier account, and I was spending like $10 a month to get these movie credits, and I was seeing two to three movies a month. And
Mm,
after I used it once, I made my money back.
yeah.
Because even at the cheapest theater that was like around me, this was probably like 4 years ago at this point. Um, at the cheapest movie theater, I was spending $16 a ticket, $10 a month, $16 a ticket, and I'm seeing
Yeah.
2 to 3 movies a month. Y'all do the math.
Yeah.
Movie pass for your ass.
Yeah, and Movie Pass, it allows you to buy your ticket on that movie theater's website. So you're
Hmm.
still accruing your points for like free popcorn or
Hmm.
free additional movie tickets. Um, and what I started doing is I started to actually buy tickets to black movies I'm not gonna see. Like this new You, Me, and Tuscany, I'm not gonna watch that love story, child. I don't really care. Um,
Oh, okay. But
what
you're buying
what
tickets for
what?
it.
Like I love the Baileys. Well, the one Bailey, the other Bailey went to the Kanye concert, so I'm kind
Mm,
of iffy with her right now. But I love the Baileys, and I'm going to support them. I'm going to support black movies. So I have been using the points I've been given to purchase this black movie and to make sure that this black movie succeeds. And
mm-hmm.
Mm-hmm.
according to um, the charts, it's been succeeding, and more black movies like it are going to be made. So yeah.
Nice.
So this week I want to put you on to a movie that I saw called Hollow Road. Now, this one
Mm-hmm.
is about two parents, and they get a call from their child who um is coming home from college, and
Mm-hmm.
she gets into an accident. And
Mm.
her parents, one's a police, one's a retired detective, one's a uh ambulance emergency
An EMT.
an EMT, and they are telling her, "Don't call the cops yet," and they are racing to her because guess what? The girl was too scared to give this girl who she ran over CPR. So they're like, "Don't call the cops. We're coming. You can blame it on us." But some something happens. This other woman shows up, and she knows a lot about this girl and her family. And it's
Mm.
very suspenseful because all you see are these two distraught parents, and they are racing to this daughter that
Mm-hmm.
we never see. And it's very suspenseful, very thrilling, very good, extremely good. I edge of my seat the whole time. Hollow Road. Go see it.
Okay. Okay. Very nice. Um, I have a movie to put y'all onto as well. This one is called The Double.
The
Stars Jesse.
Double.
Yeah, the Double. Yep. It stars Jesse Eisenberg. They're in like
Oh
this,
Lord.
not apocalyptic, but like a different alternative reality or whatever. Um, and they're like data entry clerks. He's a data entry clerk or something like this, where he's just like pushing buttons and doing math at his job. But he's like super passive, super meek, and like everybody just pretty much just like runs over him in every part of his life. And at a certain point, his like doppelganger shows up. Like his character's name is Simon James. The doppelganger shows up, and the doppelganger's name is James Simon. And so James Simon is everything Simon James wants to be. Like he tells people what he wants. He gets all the girls. He gets the promotions. Like he starts at the same job, and within a few weeks, he's like at a senior executive or something like that. And like he starts kind of like pushing Simon James around too, like the original character. And I'm not gonna ruin it for you, but it's just he's trying to, I don't know, he's trying to like figure out how to be a person.
I think I've seen this movie.
It's pretty good. It's like super suspenseful. It's like it's funny. It's just a bit cringy in some parts. It's
Okay.
there's some blood here and there.
Oh, okay. Now I'm
Good movie.
interested.
Hmm.
Okay, Jordan. So, what do you have to put our listeners on to for this week?
So I was thinking about it, and like I don't think I have to put anybody on to Resident Evil 9. I just started playing it, so I feel like I'm a little bit late. I feel like people probably know about that. So instead, I'm gonna go with a book that I read not that long ago. I don't know if you guys have heard of this one. It's called Burn Down Master's House
No.
by Clay Kane. It just came out, I want to say like a month or two ago.
Hmm.
And it does what it proposes to do, if you're curious about that. But
Hmm.
it is a historical fiction novel that like
Hmm.
takes real life stories of slaves and their accounts
Hmm.
and reimagines them in a way that like gives them more agency, but also is like, I think when you think about narratives of that time, right? Like
Mm-hmm.
for a lot of people, I understand a little bit of like the desire to get away from that just because it can be, very traumatic and like, reading about and thinking about what it was in those times. But I think, for me, for somebody who's very interested in history,
Mm-hmm.
and just imagining, Black futures, like thinking about a time where you didn't have that freedom and autonomy, but like we still made culture, we still made community, we still made family, we still had all of this stuff. Like you couldn't take that away from us. And I think a big part of this book is there's, a continual refrain about like, as they pass down, knowledge to each other, or, skills, or even just again, like community to each other. That's
Mm-hmm.
kind of the thing that they always keep saying is like, they can't take that away from you. Like once you have, the knowledge, once you have, once you learn how to read, once you learn how to,
Mm-hmm.
think and plan, like all of this stuff that it can't be taken away from you. Um, and so, it's a little Django, you know,
Okay.
like it's not necessarily like in that same vein of, I mean, it does get pretty violent,
Mm-hmm.
throughout. But
Hopefully.
I think it's an interesting way that it kind of brings in a lot of different stories and narratives that, maybe people didn't know before. Like there's a queer romance that kind of goes in and out of the story. There's
Mm-hmm.
a lot of different like female perspectives. There's a lot of different perspectives from people who I think maybe don't always necessarily get included in these stories.
Mm-hmm.
And so, by the end of it, like it can be a tough read in places, but I think by the end of it, you are like, that's the book that I was hoping it was. So,
Mm.
Okay.
I would recommend it to people. You know, you can get it however you get it. I'm sure there's audiobook, ebook.
Mm-hmm.
I got my copy from my local library, so like, hit
Oh,
up your
nice.
libraries and all that. But yeah, Burn Down Master's House by Clay Kane, I would say would be my thing to put people onto.
Okay. Okay. Um, that sounds like a very interesting book. And you read a lot of books, Jordan. Where do you even find the time to even read all these books?
I think that's part of, going back to my attempts to kind of quiet out the noise of
Ah,
everything going on around us. Like, um, when sometimes when I feel myself like reaching for my phone, or like, wanting to like jump on YouTube or whatever, like I'll
Mm-hmm.
stop for a second and then think if there's a book that I want to read, and maybe like
mm,
start like
Mm-hmm.
getting into that. And like, if the book is holding my attention, then, that's a good sign.
Yeah.
But if it's like, all right, let me do a little something, and then even if I can't, if I don't finish it, or I don't get too far, like at least I started it. So, for people who maybe are kind of like lapsed readers or never really into reading,
Mm-hmm.
I would definitely suggest, like, there's all kinds of books out there. You know what I mean? I think maybe sometimes people think about, oh, like I'm really into, this specific genre, or like, I
Mm-hmm.
really don't like, like fantasy books or this kind of book, you know what I mean? But like I try to read around as much as possible. So I mean, there's all the genres, from
mm,
horror to fantasy to, action and adventure. But then, there's, people's books of essays, there's people's books of poems, there's historical nonfiction, all kinds of stuff. So even if you're just like, I'd like to learn more about something, there's books that can help with that. If you're like, I would like to, for me, a lot of it is getting to experience the world through different people's eyes, and
Mm-hmm.
like having the opportunity to see the world in a way that I, even when you watch a movie, right? Like there's certain things that you can pick up and glean if you're watching like, a Korean film, or, a South American film. But I think even just through the reading, sometimes like it's really putting you in that perspective of, another person. And
mm.
so for me, it's almost like getting to travel around to all of these different places. So like Jared was saying, like once you're into a book, like once something has like captured you, it is
Mm-hmm.
hard to put it down. You know what I mean?
Yeah.
Because there's a lot of books that I'll read it. I'll start the day and I'll read like a chapter or something, and then for the rest of the day until I get another chance to pick it up again, I'm just like, man, I wonder what's going to happen next. I'm
Mhm.
just like, I'm thinking about
Yeah.
it. And so I think even that, just starting off small. If you're like, all right, I haven't read a full book in a long time. There's plenty of books that are 100 pages or less that are like
Hmm.
well worth your time to read. So even if you just start small with something and kind of pick up the habit again, it's something where my goal this year is to read 52 books, but even if you just read 5 books, like I think you've done yourself a service, so like it doesn't even have to be like a marathon where like I'm trying to read the whole library or something crazy like that. You could just, start with like it's just a couple,
Mhm.
and even if it's not like the thing that you do all the time, I think it is helpful to do it, make it like a small part of your hobbies and habits to just maybe you read, a book every 2 to 3 months.
Hmm.
Mm.
That's
Now,
about my speed right there. A book every 2 to 3
Yeah.
months.
now, Jordan, there, you do have your own podcast. White people won't save you.
Mm.
Let me ask you a question. You haven't
Okay.
published a new episode since March 19th, and today is April the 26th. Jordan, can I please get a new episode of White People Won't Save You? I need a new
You
episode.
absolutely can. I think, me and Cameron have taken just a short break to kind of retool some things because I think we've been doing it for almost 6 years now. And so
Wow.
like we've talked about doing a lot of things and then like we always, kind of put it off because I feel like we're both, busy and just living. And so we really wanted to be a little bit more intentional this year with things. So we took a little break so we could bank a couple episodes.
Okay.
So
Okay.
this week we're going to start putting stuff out just so we can have, stuff in the vault and start putting it out more regularly. I think we're getting ready to uh, make a bit more of an investment in terms of like, the production for things, and like
Mm.
trying to level things up that way. So we want to take a little step back so we could kind of like reorganize stuff, and then come back with hopefully, I mean, people keep like like you just did, keep hitting us up like, oh, we're ready for more episodes and all that stuff, which we greatly appreciate. But we also want to make sure that we're keeping up, the level of quality and like maybe even increasing it a bit if possible. So
Hmm. Hmm.
we got you. I'll give you the episode that's coming out this week is The Last Boy Scout with Bruce Willis and Damon Wayans. I don't know if you
Hmm.
remember this movie,
Yeah.
where Bruce Willis is like a down on his luck detective, and Damon Wayans, crazy to watch it now, is a football player who got kicked out of the NFL for gambling, uh,
Okay.
and is girlfriend Halle Berry. I think this might be like Halle Berry's like second or third movie. Like it's really early in her career.
Hmm.
Um, is like involved in some not great things, and so like
Mm.
they team up to get into it. But the beginning, you may have seen this, even if you haven't seen the movie. The beginning of the movie is Billy Blanks, the Tybo Billy Blanks, is
Hmm.
a football player who is like in deep with some like gambling bookie and like does PCP in the locker room, has to go out. It's like a rainstorm. So it looks like it's filmed like it's a war movie,
Hmm.
and like it's raining, it's like a torrential downpour on the field. And he's like he gets a call in the locker room that's like, you need to score a touchdown, or bad things are going to happen to you. And so
Yeah.
he goes out on the field and they give him the ball, and like he's the running back, so he's coming out the backfield, and like he jukes a couple of guys, he runs over a few guys, and then there's one more guy between him and the end zone, and so he pulls out a gun and shoots him,
On the field?
What?
and then shoots himself, and that's how the movie starts.
Okay. Okay.
On the
I
field
know this movie and I do not remember this scene.
during the game?
Yes. I don't think that's the play that coach called. I think he
Right.
I
Oh my
think that was an
gosh.
audible.
But
Okay. Um, yeah. White people will say you is has to be the hardest podcast that you have to do because I remember for this podcast, Demarcus maybe watched The Hobbit, and I absolutely hated it
Mm.
because of
mm,
how those Caucasian people would just break into people's houses for the whole entire movie. And that was the byline of the movie. We break into people's houses for these three movies. And
I wanna add a correction here. It wasn't Demarcus that said watch these movies. That was our other co-host we used to have, Lorante. That was his episode. He
Mm.
asked you to watch those movies. He didn't
well,
make you. You're a
I
grown
am
man. You can make your own decision.
I am blaming you. And and you do this. You watch movies that are questionable for your whole podcast. Like when I was so blessed to be on, and I watched what was my movie about Stonewall? Um, was it called? It was called Stonewall.
It was just called Stonewall, yeah.
Yeah, that two musical
Bless you.
directors wrote um wrote like a musical but without the music, and it was so crazy. uh
Yeah.
and
It was by
and
Roland Emmerich who did Independence Day,
Mm.
yeah,
which is crazy.
it was insane. The movie was insane, and we had a lot to say. I think this podcast was like over 2 hours long about
Hmm.
how dumb
Mhm.
it was. I could not imagine doing that again about a different movie because talking to y'all about it was fun and it was hilarious, but
Mhm.
watching the movie, taking notes on it, remembering stuff about it, that was so tedious. That was so, oh my, I was killing myself. I wanted to take breaks, but I knew if I took a break, I would not finish it. So I was so happy when Tubi would play their commercials because I wouldn't have to see the movie for 190 seconds. So I have to give it up to you for your podcast. Like we cover here, we talk about anything, but y'all do the research and y'all go through the
Hmm.
slog on y'all's podcast. That is just so admirable. So admirable. DeMarcus, you have to
Appreciate it.
DeMarcus has to do it. Because
I mean, you're more
he
than welcome to come on. We
Hey.
got so many movies.
Okay. Okay.
yeah. Yeah, because he it's hard for him to watch a movie that he does not like
Me?
now.
Well,
Yeah. And
No, I can watch a movie. Once I start a movie, like more than likely I'm gonna finish it because I gotta see. I gotta see what happens.
mhm.
okay. I would love to see you watch a movie. Well, I didn't I didn't know I wouldn't like it as much, but I didn't like it. So maybe
Mm.
I don't know.
Okay.
Yeah. Uh DeMarcus, is there an activity for the week?
There's absolutely an activity this week, and if it is your first time tuning into Black Geek Energy, the way these activities and games work is Demarcus comes up with the games and activities. He is the judge, jury, and executioner of all things activities and games on Black Geek Energy. Comes up with the questions, the answers. He decides who's right, who's wrong, what's right, what's wrong, and who wins and who loses. So today's game, um, I wish I had a better name for it. We just gonna call it Fact or Fiction. And what I'm going to do is I'm going to read you a little snippet of a black historical figure from the diaspora. So this could be someone in Africa, someone in America, somewhere else in the world, and you have to tell me whether this was a real person who did a real thing or a fake person and they did not do this thing.
Okay.
Does it make sense? Make sense,
Yeah.
Jerry? You
Hmm.
ready? All right,
Yeah.
all right, cool, 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 cool. All right, so I'm thinking of a number between 5 and 15.
5 and 5. What happens to
I'm
one?
trying to mix it up a little bit.
Lord, okay, 7.
Okay.
12.
The number was 14. Jordan, you're going
Okay.
first. All right. And some of these names, I might screw them up. So please forgive me. Please be graceful. Um, Euphemia Lofton Hayes became the first black woman to earn a PhD in mathematics from an American university in 1949 and spent her career training generations of mathematicians at Howard University. Was this a real person? Or was this a fake person?
Hmm. Like, part of me wants to say, not even that somebody got a degree before that,
Hmm.
but also Black history is full of those surprises where you're like, oh, it wasn't until okay.
Yeah, yeah.
Uh, so I mean, some of this sounds familiar. I'm gonna say it's fact.
Okay.
Mm.
Correct. This is a real person. Euphemia Lofton Hayes was a trailblazer in STEM who broke barriers for decades before the phrase representation matters was coined.
Mm.
All right, Jared, next one is for you, sir.
Oh
Uh,
Lord.
I got it. This is the name. Hold on. Amana was a warrior queen from the ancient kingdom of Kush who led her armies into battle against Roman forces around 25 BCE, negotiating a peace treaty so favorable that historians still study it today.
Hmm. I am gonna say fiction.
Fiction, okay. Oh, it is real.
Oh.
Amana was the queen of Kush and one of the most remarkable military leaders of the ancient world, and she is real, very real.
Hmm. And she
Yeah,
negotiated a peace treaty with the Romans.
that's what she did.
Somebody
Right.
needs to get her on the phone. Get to-
Okay.
Because
Um,
JD Vance ain't doing it.
all right. Jordan, we're back to you. Question number
Okay.
three. Kofi Asante, known as the Architect of Tomorrow, was a Bronze Age comics engineer who invented who invented a solar-powered city grid for a fictional African nation and is cited by real engineers as an inspiration. So
Yeah.
this one's a bit meta. Is this a
Right.
real
Right.
fictional character from a real comic book, or is this all
Right.
made?
What was the date again?
There's no date, no
There's
dating.
no date.
From the
You said Bronze Age.
Bronze Age of comics, yes.
Because I'm trying to think of like, like Sunman and like um some of like the super early original black
Yeah. He could. I mean, he could have not been a superhero. He could have just been like a guy that was an
yeah,
architect in the
right.
comics.
Let's say because it sounds like it's a cool idea. I'm gonna say fact just because I want it to be a true thing.
All right, you wanted to be a true thing, so we're gonna go real. And the answer is no. That's just
Damn.
fictional. It
Mm.
sounds real. I've never
Mm.
Yeah,
heard of Kofi Asante, but also I don't haven't read a lot of Bronze Age comics. Um,
all good.
but I feel like the inspiring real engineers made it
Hmm.
feel like it was a real thing. All right, Jared, back to you.
Oh
Matthew
Lord.
Henson born to was born to freeborn sharecropper parents 1 year after emancipation. He
Okay.
became the first black person to reach the North Pole as a part of the 1909 expedition with Robert Peary, though
Oh
Peary
Lord.
received most of the credit for decades. Is Matthew Henson real or fake?
I feel like this is like a Lois and Clark thing.
Mm-hmm.
Um, First person to reach the North Pole.
First black person to reach the North Pole as part of the 1909 expedition. But he was not credited, is what they're saying. Well, Peary received most of the credit for decades.
Fiction.
Fiction. And the answer is real. I've heard of Matthew Henson.
Yeah, yeah.
Because I think the story goes like Peary and his crew, like these white folks were like dying. Like they were getting frostbite and Peary and Matthew Henson basically had to like drag them the rest of the way up the up the mountain. Yeah.
Golly.
But didn't get no credit. I would have left them on the side. All right. Jordan, we're back to you. Question number five.
Okay.
Zara Osei is a 22nd century activist who preserves the oral histories of the African diaspora using quantum memory technology, a central figure in a celebrated Afrofuturist novel. Yeah, I don't know why you're getting these ones.
Yeah, no, well, because again, I'm thinking about it. There's certain parts of this that sound familiar, and I don't know if I'm just confusing them with other people or.
hmm hmm
But again, I'm gonna go fact because it sounds dope, and I want it to be real. So,
Right. And it is fictional. Uh,
Ooh.
no, this is all made up. I don't know that there's any Afrofuturist novel with a Zara Osei, but now there could be. Now the
yeah,
idea's out there.
yeah. Hmm.
So, all right, Jerry, back to you. Thelonious Monk was a jazz pianist and composer who helped create bebop alongside Charlie Parker in the 1940s and is widely considered one of the most harmonically advanced musicians of the 20th century. Real or fake?
Real.
And that is correct. Thelonious Monk is a real person. He's a
Yeah.
very famous jazz musician. Jerry, if you didn't get this one, I'm very
Uh,
disappointed.
yeah, I've heard that name before. Like, oh,
Yeah,
that sounds like
Melvin.
a name I'm
I,
familiar.
I was gonna say Melvin's mostly based on Thelonious Monk, so I'm glad
Mhm.
that was included in there.
Nice. All right. Number 7, and we got you another fictional character, Jordan, to
Okay,
stay
okay,
with the
okay.
theme of the game.
Hey,
General Adaeze Nwosu is a fictional black woman general in a near-future sci-fi setting who unified 3 warring factions using ancestral diplomacy, loosely based on real African conflict resolution traditions.
see now I'm messed up because the last two people were fictional and it
hmm
was fiction.
hmm
But now I feel like I'm in a trap where if I say fiction, it's gonna be the one that's not fiction. Uh,
I hear what you're saying.
so I'm gonna stick with what I've been doing. I'm gonna triple down.
Okay, okay. How will you feel if this one is also fictional after you say it real?
I mean, it's all good. But I'm trying to bet. I'm trying to play the odds and see
Yeah,
like one of
of
these one
course,
of these
of
got to be
course.
real.
Yeah.
This one is also fictional.
Man, damn, three in a row.
Goodness,
um,
the Marcus.
Ancestral diplomacy is real and is rooted in traditions like Ubuntu philosophy, but the character is invented.
Okay, I'm gonna have to make some of these people real just to retroactively
So we
vindicate
got to
myself.
retcon this episode.
Yeah.
All right, Jared. Thurgood Marshall argued 32 cases before the Supreme Court and won 29 of them, more than any private attorney in U.S. history at the time before becoming the first black justice on that same court.
Um, I don't know if any of those facts are real,
hmm
but I know Thurgood Marshall is real.
hmm
Isn't he the one that went to Howard?
I think so.
Yeah. So
Unsure.
he's the bad one if he's the one that went to Howard.
The bad
Um,
one of which group? What do you? who
y-
is
he,
who is the good one
he
if he's the
he's
bad
saying that he didn't go to the real HU.
one?
You know.
yeah,
Mm.
he did not go to the real HU. But he is still on the Black History Month posters. He's not like
hmm
the black guy on the Supreme Court now. But I want to say that fact.
All right. And that is correct. Thurgood Marshall was a real person, and he did argue 32 cases in front of the Supreme Court. I feel like I knew that, like the 32 cases part. I didn't know he
Mm.
won 29 of them though. That's pretty impressive.
I did not know that. Who'd you do your Black History Month report on?
um, I used to always do like I just stick to the basics. MLK, Malcolm X.
Hmm.
Uh, yeah.
I
I
did
was
George Washington Carver in elementary
Mm.
George
school.
Washington Carver. You know.
Then in middle school, I did RuPaul Charles.
Mm,
Mm.
okay, okay.
Yeah,
That's a deep cut. That's a good one. Like
yeah.
looking back, I wish I had chosen more people, more black people that people folks didn't know.
Mm.
Right. Yeah.
What about you, Jordan? Who did you do your Black History Month report on?
I think just like DeMarcus, I remember doing like a Rosa Parks and
Hmm.
I think I also did Thurgood Marshall for one of them.
Mm, okay.
Yeah.
Okay. I think I
And
did Rosa
yeah,
Parks.
because in Maryland, Benjamin Banneker is also like because he's from
Ah,
Baltimore, so I'm pretty sure I
Mhm.
did the Benjamin Banneker thing as well.
yeah,
Yeah.
yeah.
See, and now I hope kids now are doing folks that we've never heard of.
Yeah.
They're doing like streamers. Speed.
Really? I mean,
Yes.
I guess yeah, that counts.
That's who they're doing now.
Mm.
Ti.
Yeah, that's a good one.
No, no,
If you were going to
no,
school in Atlanta, T.I.'s a great one to do.
no, not with his convictions.
I mean, yo, everyone has a story. All right, let's get to these last two questions.
He don't want to talk about the convictions. The
All
convict.
right, Jordan. Mama Adwoa, known as the Memory Keeper, is a fictional elder in an Afrofuturist story who maintains a living archive of every black person erased from history. Her mind
Wow,
holds 2,000 years of forgotten names.
wow.
I'm gonna quadruple down because I got I can't. It can't be four in a row. And even if it
It
is,
is four in a row.
I'm getting a lot of inspiration. So,
Yeah, yeah. But this is a common archetype though, like the memory keeper.
mhm.
And it usually is a black person, or blackish. Oh man.
Is this like? I mean, are we speaking in terms of like magical Negro sense of
Yeah,
like the
That's what it
one who
no,
sounds
keeps the
like.
knowledge and
if you're referencing the movie, the Society of Magical Negroes, I'm
oh,
not
please
for
don't.
it. I'm not for it.
Let's forget that
I
even.
hated it
The
so much, and I was so
funniest,
excited for it.
yeah, the funniest episode that you've done by far.
God, that yeah, I like to not look back on that.
Yeah.
I hope everybody has moved past that.
Because it was such a good teaser. And
It
then the
man, it was
trailer,
good.
and then the very 2 weeks later, they dropped their whole trailer. We were like, what is this? What is
I was
this?
like, you got to be kidding me. I'm
And,
thinking,
Yeah, I don't want
and
to go
then,
on a whole rant about it,
no,
but
well, let's get the last question and then we can.
yeah.
Jared, John Owusu Ado was a Ghanaian architect who co-founded the Ghana Institute of Architects in 1959, designed landmark buildings such as NUST, including the Community Care Center and Unity Hall, and became the university's first Ghanaian head of architecture department.
what school was it again?
Uh, he went to the Ghana Institute of Architects in 1959.
Fact.
And that is correct. John Owusu-Ado is a real person, the pioneer of tropical modernism, a place-based, climate-conscious style of he developed to give Ghanaian architecture its own identity after independence.
Cool.
Yeah. See, I hope folks are doing their Black History Month projects on people like this, because I had
Hmm.
no idea who this guy is.
They do a Mega the Stallion child. But
But yeah, the winner of this game, Jared. You And
wow.
I feel like this was unfair. We
It's
have
fine.
you back. we'll we need to do better. I did not expect. I used Claude instead of ChatGPT to help build this game. He,
Mm.
there are a lot of like links to like where the information comes from. Um, and it did. I think it did a good job of these. The ones that were meant to trick you. Because
Mhm.
Jordan, you are more loyal and faithful than I was. Because after that second one wasn't real, I'd have been like, all of these are fake.
I mean, as a former president once said, "Fool me twice, Can't fool me again.
Yeah.
Okay. All right.
Jordan, we were talking about the movie The Society of Magical
Oh no.
Negroes and how horrible it was.
Yeah.
Um, and now I would like to open up the floor for you to go on your little rant.
Oh, I think the thing that still kills me about that movie is the like full like just whole misunderstanding of what a magical Negro is.
Yeah.
Like it was so bizarre to title the movie that and then to not have like any real combative back and forth. I mean, like the idea that black people need to make white people feel good for things not to be bad or like
Hmm.
to like even it was like the idea like because David Allen Greer I think is what pissed me
Exactly.
off most about this movie. It's like
Me
he's
too.
like he's telling Justice Smith over and over again, hey, this is for like the betterment of the world, like you need to do this, and it's just
Hmm.
like show me the evidence.
Yeah.
Hmm.
Like to
Hmm.
okay, you're saying this, like you're saying that you've been magical coons for however long you've been doing this for, and like show me because we're still doing this. So like, have you made the world a better place? Because like I'm
Mhm.
looking around and I would have some questions
Yeah.
about like how effective this strategy has been.
Right.
But then it's also, I mean, it's weird because like if you look at it on its surface, the Society of Magical Negroes are um the villains of the movie. Like they're
Hmm.
not they are harboring and harnessing these quote unquote magical abilities and using them for themselves and
Mhm.
not sharing them with other black people or using them to make other black people's lives better. And yet we're looking at it as like a desirable way to be. And then at the very end, when Justice Smith shows David Allen Greer that like this whole thing is bullshit, David
Hmm.
Allen Greer is like, yeah, so I'm gonna go back inside and keep doing that now. And it's like, what do you what do you
What are we doing?
mean? That's
um,
crazy. And then like the end reveal is just like, why did they give you money to do this, dog? Like, what is
Yeah.
going on, man? Like, this is crazy.
you
So,
know, but it definitely feels like one of those movies that's like, oh, it will definitely get made because
hmm
I feel like this one almost like panders to white people.
yeah,
Um, and then you mentioned like the magic, like why isn't he doing this, sharing it with other black people, and like why aren't they using it for themselves? They couldn't. Like part of that power, because I
right,
mean,
yeah, 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 right,
in the beginning, like he like tried to do something for himself with the power, and it's like you can't do that. It's like this is to make white people comfortable, not you. And I'm like, I'm so frustrated because I expected like, because I think I had heard it was like, what if there was like a Black Harry Potter and it's like that kind of movie, and I was like, oh, that's kind of
sure,
exciting. He's gonna
Yeah.
learn magic and be slinging spells. I was like, oh, this is bullshit.
And it's gonna be black.
yeah,
Yeah.
Black.
That's what I wanted, and it wasn't this. But the worst part of this was David Allen Greer was in this movie being the worst coon ever. And it wasn't even funny like how
no,
Samuel L. Jackson was a coon. Was it
Mm-mm.
Samuel L. Jackson in
Oh,
oh yeah,
the
Django,
he was
Django?
King
Yeah.
Coon and Django.
Yeah, it wasn't funny. And it was like, you're David Allen Greer from Living Single and
Hmm.
Tales from the Hood and so many other David Allen Greer stuff, the legend himself. Why are you in this movie, child? Yeah,
Right.
thankful that y'all did it. I could not do it again. Y'all's patience on that
hmm
podcast is God tier. I couldn't make it 30 minutes into the movie before I had to turn it off. Because
I mean, you did the right thing, and it's just again fascinating how like look because I think that the same year I want to say The Blackening came out,
Hmm.
mm,
and it's like make that movie. Like,
Yeah.
yes.
that's what we like. That's what we want to see. That's a movie that is, whether you had, some issues with it or whether you loved it, whatever it is, like it's a movie that is engaging with the premise full stop.
Hmm.
Like the trailer is the movie. Like you didn't walk into it and you were like, "Oh, this is something completely different. Like this isn't what I thought I was going to go see." But also they did it in a way where like it was funny
Hmm.
which
Mhm.
helps. I think at the screening of the Society of Magical Negroes, maybe like three people laughed the whole film, which is like, what Jared is saying. This is David
Mm.
Allen Greer. David
Yeah.
Allen Greer is somebody that, like, even if he's not trying to be funny, is funny.
Right.
Like he should make you laugh, even just the way that he says a line or like a face that he
Mhm.
makes or nothing. The whole movie, everybody was just like not having
Yeah.
it. And then when I saw the blackening, it was like black people were having a great time.
Hmm.
We're all enjoying the film. And so like it's a very different mode, but like you said, DeMarcus, like I'm sure somebody saw that script wherever that got produced and they were like, we got our one. Here's our one for the year. We can
Hmm.
cross that off the list and
Yeah.
Jesus.
And then a black
yeah.
guy wrote and directed this tragedy. So
Yeah, that was not a good press tour for him.
not at all.
Right.
Okay. Ancestral Recall.
Hmm.
Wow, Jordan. Bravo. This book was amazing. This book was um I think that this book says a lot about you and your love of history, your love
Hmm.
of black people. One thing I want to know is how did you pick who to put in the book? Because the premise of this book is this guy gets powers from historical figures. So, did you pick the historical figures first, or did you pick the situation first and find historical figures? How did that happen?
So a lot of the choice of who was going to be in the book, I think the factors that I went with were one, obviously I wanted to choose people who are not, top of mind, not like the first Google
Mm,
search. I wanted to go deeper and to have people that you haven't heard of before, or maybe like you've heard of them, but you don't really know much about them. And so picking people like Jean-Louis Michel, who was the greatest sword fighter of the 19th century,
Hmm.
picking people like Bill Pickett, who was like the first black rodeo star, names that you're not going to find in your history books, your textbooks at school, but that are still important and I think people should know and should be celebrated in that way.
Hmm.
The second thing was because of how Melvin's powers work. It's kind of like they're like situationally based, right? Like
mhm,
Right.
something's happening, he needs to do something in the moment. So he's kind of reaching back to the perfect person who can help him out in that situation. And so it was slightly situationally based in terms of like, all right, so this is the plot of this particular, chapter. What is he going to do? Okay, so who's somebody that can help him break into this building. Marie Van Burton Brown, the inventor of
Hmm.
like the first home security system, or
mhm,
he doesn't really know how to ride a bike. Who can help him do that? Oh, Kitty Knox, like one of the first black women cyclists. Like finding these people who he can use the abilities from, but still treating them with respect, and giving them space to shine and not just having them be like oh, okay, thanks for that, bye now, I'm gonna go
Yeah.
do this.
yeah.
But like, all right, having that moment with them. But then also I think the most difficult part is I wanted to put so many people in the book, but like
Mm,
trying to keep that pacing of we kept it to two people a chapter
Okay.
because it was like if we did five or six seven, what I mean, like we didn't want to step on anybody where it's just like, oh, and right on the heels of that, here's somebody else, instead of
Right.
like that moment gets to breathe. He's met that person. We kind of have that information now, and we'll meet somebody new, maybe near the end of the book or at a different part. But yeah, I just didn't want to overload it because again, I feel like there's so many incredible stories throughout Black history, so I really wanted to spotlight as many people as possible. But then even, slight spoilers, I guess, at the end, we do get like one of my favorite pages, like the big splash page,
Hmm.
with all of the different historical figures on it. And that was our way of kind of like, all right, who else can we kind of sneak in here at the
mhm,
last minute just to have that. So yeah.
Now,
yeah.
that's actually one of my favorite parts about this book. Like each time he activates his power, I'm like, who's going to be next? Because I
Yeah.
know it's going to be something someone who I haven't heard of, or I'm like less familiar with. Um,
Mm-hmm.
Mhm.
Do you know all these folks already? Like, were you already familiar with all of the people in the comic?
There's like like I knew Bill Pickett
Hmm.
beforehand. I had like a passing knowledge of Sam Marlowe.
Hmm.
Like I had heard the name, and I want to say similar to Ronald Duncan, who was the first American ninja, not even the first black ninja, but just the
Hmm.
first ninja in general. Um, like again, somebody that I kind of like had come across, but I didn't really know much about them. But everybody else was new to me, which was great, just in doing the research because I think I hopefully it came across on the page, but I had as much fun just kind of like discovering these people and discovering their stories. And at the end, if you pick up the trade paperback,
Hmm.
I was very grateful that we were able to include little mini biographies for everybody.
Yeah.
So if you read it and then you're like, oh man, I'd like to know more about, this particular person, you could just flip to the back and then, we have, quick biographies about them. Definitely like continue to look them up and find out
Mhm.
more about them. But we definitely wanted to include more information about everybody just because I think, you know, a page or two, is not enough to tell the full story. But at the
Mhm.
same time, I think that having even just that introduction to them can go a long way to get people's curiosity up.
Nice. Yeah, absolutely. A different question I had. So I'm reading through, and Melvin is like it's like two sides to him from well that I'm seeing when I'm reading. Like when he's activating his powers, he's like confident, he's like forceful, all this kind of stuff. But non-powered, he's got like this like general anxiety. He's a bit of a grumpy old man, so he has these parts where it's just like scribbles.
Yeah, yeah.
Whenever he's getting frustrated, and then there's like a translation of the scribble somewhere else on the page, like a footnote. Is that like where is that part coming from? Just because I enjoy a good grumpy old man trope. Is
Yeah.
that who you are?
Well, so I think, like I mentioned earlier, he's heavily based on Thelonious Monk,
Right.
and his wife June is heavily based on Nellie Monk, Thelonious's wife. And so Thelonious Monk, if you don't know him and you haven't seen any like video of him, famously like hated being interviewed, hated having, conversations with people, like
Mhm.
would go more or less nonverbal at times when people were talking to him just because he like that's not what he was about, like
Yeah.
he was often in his own inner creative world thinking about music or, other things. And like, people who like knew him, could get some stuff out of him, but even his wife, at times would be like she could sense, all right, he's going into that space. So like time time for conversation is over.
Right. Right. This interview's
And
over. Cut
so
it. Cut
yeah.
it.
But I think that was a big part of his of what I wanted to do with Melvin was kind of bring that in because you know, what I find really fascinating about him is he's not your typical hero. He's not like he doesn't want to go on an adventure.
Right.
He doesn't want to have all of this stuff happen to him. But his love for his wife is like the central part of his being. You know what I mean? Like
Hmm.
he loves her more than anything. And it's not even necessarily a situation where it's like he's dependent on her. Like in some ways he is, but he also hasn't been able to really make that kind of connection with any other person, you know what I mean? So it's
Right.
like she's the one that kind of keeps him leveled out, right? And so when she's not there, he's kind of like, he's trying to have conversations with people.
Hmm.
When he's going to the pharmacy in the first chapter, it's just kind of like everything is coming at him too quick. He's got to, enter the information. He's got to remember the, prescription name and like all of this other stuff. And it's like overwhelming, right? And so I thought it would be very interesting just to have somebody who has to act, has to do all these things, has to, and even part of it too with Mira and his neighbor, right? Like she kind of assumes the June role in certain respects just because like Melvin on his own
Hmm.
not gonna do it. He might not get him to leave the
Yeah.
house. So like he
Right.
still needs that push.
Yeah.
But you kind of see as the story continues on, like you said, like his confidence building, but also that connection that he's having with these ancestral figures, and even the community that he's building, with Marion and other people, like
Mhm.
starts to give him, that confidence to go out and do what he needs to do. So yeah, like I thought it was, having that journey from like when you first meet him, he's like, please don't
Yeah.
talk to me, don't look at me, I don't want none of that, to the end where he's kind of is this multiversal hero is kind of like a really cool journey that I'm glad people were connecting to.
Absolutely.
Yeah, and I really like that in this book. You know, I don't really like a love story. Give me bloods and gore any day. But the way that you depicted love in this book, like the way one of the best moments for me was when they were in the doctor's office and finding out about Melvin's diagnosis. And
Mhm.
I thought that that was such a great, loving moment between two companions. Of course, a splash page when they're going through the different times. I mean, the pages when they're going through
Mhm.
the different times, you know, from meeting up to
Mhm.
engagement to wedding to first date. I thought that those were really special, and I just want to know where did all that come from? Where, what was the inspiration for all the love in this book?
Well, I think again, like having him be based on Thelonious Monk and his wife Nellie, like I really wanted to find a way to tell a story that had these two people at the heart of it where um for a lot of people on the outside looking in at Thelonious and Nelly were just like, what a weird relationship that is, right? Like he just kind of grumbles and plays the piano and like and then she has to like, do all his, other stuff and like be his
Right.
manager even though she's not his manager. And just like, it can feel like, I think as a creative person, when you're in a relationship with somebody, there is kind of that give and take, right? Of like,
Mhm.
you need to have your time and your space to be creative, to work on your projects, and it can be difficult at times to kind of express that because you don't want to be like, leave me alone, or I need to go in this room for like 4 hours and like don't talk to me.
Mhm. Mhm.
But at the same time, like there is just such a beautiful connection between Melvin and June. And I think
Mhm.
when you're thinking about, Black love stories, and particularly you know, older Black people who we rarely get to see in those situations, like we really
Mhm.
rarely get to see, Black people in their, 60s and up, like together with
Mhm.
each other, like, living and having already like lived, a full life together, you know what I mean? And so I really honed in on that central bit because it felt like just the natural through line for the story. Like, the Black history stuff is central, and like all of the action and other stuff is cool too. But just from a story perspective, I'm a very character driven writer. And so I really need to know like what is it that these characters want, and like what's the worst thing that could happen to them, what's the best thing that could happen to them, and how do you kind of put them, through all those motions. And for Melvin, the worst thing that could happen is like June's not around, you know what I mean? And like that's his central motivation through so much of it, is like just getting back to her, just making sure that she's safe. And then on the other side too, like June's not just sitting there waiting for Melvin to show up. Like she's very active herself. She's also trying to get back to him, from her end. And you can just kind of tell like that, I think when you think about people at that age, you kind of think, oh, well, like not like it's over for them, but like they've lived a life and now it's just like, you're just counting the days together,
Yeah.
as opposed to like they've got so much life still to live, they've got so much of their story still left to go. And so I really wanted to have this older couple who, like is almost getting like a second lease on, all their relationship in terms of like the possibilities of what's still to come. And so um yeah, I feel like when you have, I haven't really done, too much romance in the Aquaman issue, like that was another key element with Jackson and Hoea, that romance. Um, and romance comics used to be like the highest selling comics, period. You know what I
Really?
mean? Like romance comics, yeah, back in like the 40s and 50s, because the biggest like audience was like teenage girls who would
Huh.
just be buying all the Archie comics and all the other different comics.
You learn something
And
every day.
so like yeah, yeah, I feel like romance, while I'm not particularly like a romance person and that like I'll read romance novels or like I like a rom-com and like,
Yeah.
even like the older movies from like the 40s and the 50s that were like, romance based, like those are fun.
Hmm.
Like those kinds of romantic comedies, but um I think that was another thing too. Just wanted to kind of challenge myself to see if I could tell a story that had a romance at the center of it and make it feel believable and not cheesy or corny or,
Yeah.
kind of like tired, but like feel genuine and earnest. And so, enough people have commented that I feel like I did do that,
Hmm.
which I'm happy to hear. But yeah, like I really felt like, if I can nail the romance at the center of the story, then I can easily build everything else on top of that.
Yeah, well,
Yeah.
you should do more romance and just next time, maybe just a little bit of blood up in there.
Okay, I'll see what I can do.
No,
Yeah.
the romance really comes through, and like you said, it felt real and genuine because these aren't like two perfect people who have the perfect love.
Hmm.
Uh, is and I can definitely see like in the story, maybe it's like chapter 3 or something, but there you do like you're doing the flashback on Melvin, and like he wasn't always this like anxious person who
Hmm.
goes nonverbal and has panic attacks, and that sort of happened over time. And like Jerry mentioned, the diagnosis, and that I think that was like one of the realest moments to show the love. But I guess is it did Melvin's power sort of awaken with this anxiety disorder, like, or are those two things connected, or does he have general anxiety and he has this ancestral recall power?
Yeah, he's got the anxiety and he's got the ancestral recall power, but I do think that they do speak to each other, in the
Okay.
sense of like it's that anxiety that like triggers those moments where he kind of
Right.
taps into it. Um, because that was another thing that I was thinking about is like, well, if he could just do this all the time,
Hmm.
you know what I mean? Like, it's not even that it diminishes it, but it's kind of like the, any great power has, a limitation to it, right? Like
Hmm.
power
Oh, you're freezing a little bit, I think.
about the sun, then like he's just strong all the time and he's beating the shit out of everybody. And like
Right.
if the Flash didn't have to worry about, the what's going on with the Speed Force,
Hmm.
even if Spider-Man didn't run out of webs sometimes, like that kind of takes the drama out of it because there needs to be back. And so from Elvin, it's kind of like he can't just do it,
Yeah.
like when he wants to, like he kind of needs to be pushed into this overly stressful situation where it
Mm.
starts to activate, and then he's able to find the right person to help him guide him through the situation. So yeah, it wasn't necessarily like, oh, okay, like this equals this, but I
Mhm.
did find it was a good, almost kind of trigger thing where it's like, all right, he's already this kind of overly anxious person.
Right.
So what can we do to kind of make sure that like we keep that balance of things where he's not just like, I want to do karate now, or like I want to be Jesse Owens now. And it's like, well, I mean, that's cool, but that's not
Yeah.
necessarily going to make it a dramatic story as opposed to like, all right, we already know, he's not dealing well with things already. So like now when a robot's coming at him, that's probably going to make it like even even more over the top. So yeah, it was kind of something that I stumbled into where I was like, oh, like this is a good way to kind of activate these powers and have a conversation about both of those things.
Nice.
Mm.
Yeah.
And
Like 'cause that.
and
Sorry. Go ahead.
oh, I never got that. I just thought it was just a sci-fi thing. that
Mm, yeah.
the robots did the powers. I never got that. So good catch the Marcus.
Yeah. Because I don't know. Because mean, I think I noticed that like whenever he was getting stressed, like that's when his eyes would glow. I'm like, oh,
Mm.
okay. Yeah. Like maybe there's like a connection here. Um. And so, but this is I guess what I heard you say is that the powers do not come from the anxiety. So hypothetically, he could have been doing the ancestral recall things before the general anxiety. So, do you think we'll ever get to see that version of Melvin where he's like, all right, I got my anxiety under control, and now I
Hmm.
have full control over my abilities as well?
Yeah, almost like a Gray Hulk situation where
Yeah,
it's like
yeah.
the
Yeah,
best of both, you know.
he
Right.
goes to karaoke and he's channeling Michael Jackson.
He's painting
um
again, doing exhibits.
yeah, well, I think, also part of the story is like acceptance, like coming
Mhm,
to terms with, kind of who you are. There's that moment where Melvin and Mirren are taking their drive, to the MLC headquarters,
mhm,
and like Melvin like freaks out on her, and then she like apologizes to him because he's like, I this is just who I am, and I guess I'm like a
yeah.
screw up, and I can't help it. And he's like, oh no, like
Yeah.
I'm doing it to her. Like this is how people treat me. Like I need to chill, and I need to like, help her as
Mhm,
June, has helped me before, and realize
right.
that like even though, I might have things about me that are different, or things about me that like, I recognize maybe aren't like fun for other people, I can't control it. So like what can
Mhm,
I do, to kind of still remain true to myself while also, like learning how to balance, some of my more like eccentric personality traits. And
mhm.
so I don't know if he'll ever like, because some things like that like don't get fixed. Like it's
Yeah.
just that's just how you are. And so, him learning to live with that and accept that, but also learning to lean on, people in his community and his inner circle who can kind of help him, mitigate and deal with that. Because
Mhm.
if we're real, about a lot of mental health issues, specifically in the Black community, it does come from specifically for Black men, it does come from a perspective of like, well, you have to be strong, and being
Mhm,
strong
Yeah.
means that you have to do it alone, and you can't
mhm,
tell other people about it or like make it other people's problem,
mhm.
as opposed to like, if you're viewing it as a problem, I think that's already like the first misstep of like,
Yeah.
all right, this is something that needs to be fixed, as opposed to like, all right, this is something that I know about myself now, and now, I need to obviously do what I can to, help myself, but also know that sometimes I'm going to need other people to help me, and not feel like I can't speak to somebody, talk to
Mhm.
somebody, or even allow somebody to help me, as opposed to like keeping up this facade of like strength and like I got everything under control all the time, when that's nobody does. That's not true about anybody. So
Exactly.
I think that's also the thing too for Melvin, is like, him accepting and learning that like, just because, this is going on with me doesn't mean that I'm a burden to other people. Like other people still
Yeah.
want to be around me, and they still want to help me. And so like leaning into that instead of being, trying to just tough it out on his own.
Yeah.
Yeah.
And that was one of the hardest scenes. It was a really good scene. Melvin and
Hmm.
um, Mirren driving down to the MLC headquarters. It was a really good scene, but one of the hardest scenes for me, just because I'm like, yeah, for exactly all the reasons you said. Just like
Mm,
she's just talking, she's excited to be here with you, and you just
yeah.
like really shut her down. Um, and I didn't pick up on like the like he's doing to her what people have done to him, and
Mm.
but it was just like if I was a crier, that would have been the scene that got
Yeah.
me.
I cried a little bit when I wrote it, so I feel like
Yeah,
that, that kind of helped. If I'm feeling that emotion, then hopefully it's going onto the page.
yeah,
Yeah.
absolutely.
I remember one of my favorite pages was the page where he's on the horse and his hair is on fire. And I don't know, he just looks so majestic. And I remember you talking in the last episode about how the artist would put in things. I think you said that the panda was made
Hmm.
by the artist as well. So, can you just talk a little bit about your relationship between you and I can't remember his name, but the artist of this comic book?
Adigan, yeah.
Yeah.
Yeah, Adigan. So Adigan and I were part of the Milestone Initiative together.
Mhm.
And so we got to know each other a little bit, during that week that we were all together at the DC headquarters. Um, and I think, one of the things that I really appreciate about working with him. One is that he's extremely talented, so he makes me look good, you know, when you
Mhm.
read the book. But also is that, like we had a number of discussions before we even started working on the project. And as we continue to go along, I could kind of feel him getting more and more confident with not only just the characters and the subject matter, but like with the idea that he has ownership over the book as well. So it's not
Mhm.
just, Jordan says, and I have to do that, but like, okay, like Jordan's giving me this platform and he's giving me, this kind of blueprint in terms of what's happening in the issue. But I also have, license to do things like, draw the fire on the hair or, insert
Mhm.
the panda and knowing that, he's not going to come back at me and like tell me, oh, like take that out. Like, I don't like that. But
Yeah.
more so be like, it's kind of like like improv comedy, the biggest rule is like yes and right. Like you never
Yeah.
say no,
Mhm.
like don't do I hate that. You just kind of okay, like I'm presented with this idea. How can I build on that? So, every time I would get stuff back, I would be like, oh, okay. Like it seems like if you're putting that on the page, that's telling me that that's a direction that you want to go in. And so instead of, shutting that down because it's not what I wrote, it's more like, okay, that's fun. Like, how could we add to that? How could we build on top of that? And so
Mhm.
that was, really fun for me as well, just to be able to see getting the pages back, being like, like you were saying to Marcus, you were like, oh, his eyes are lighting up. What's going to happen next? I got the
Mhm.
pages back and I was like, oh man, what did I do this time? You know what I mean? This is great.
Yeah.
So, there were certain instances where I tried to be open, but not kind of leave him out on an island of just like, and they fight and you figure that out, but more just like, all right, here's that, for example, like the martial arts fight sequence where it was like,
Yes.
here's like I sent him like video,
Mhm.
of Ronald Duncan, uh and kind of said, okay, so here's like here it is
Mhm.
actually take a look at it, like what do you want to include from this? What can you see from this that would be cool to add into it? And kind of let him, pick and choose from that, what it
Mhm.
was that he wanted to do. Because I felt like whatever he was going to choose was going to look great, so I
Mhm.
didn't want to like overwrite and like dictate to him what he should be doing. But also, just gave him like parameters of like, all right, we've got like 5 panels, so
Mhm.
like, like we can do this and this. But feel free to add or include anything else that you see that looks cool that might make for a cool scene. So I'm very grateful to not only have gotten a chance to work with him on this, but just in terms of like a collaborative effort, I feel like it was a lot of fun not to just have somebody who's as engaged with the work as you are,
Mhm.
but is challenging themselves as well. Like you could kind of see him like, all right, here's this scene. Like how far can I push it? How crazy can I get with it? Because there were some instances like when you first see Mitchell, the big like AI corporate,
Mhm.
overlord, like, and he's got the helmet on and all that crazy stuff.
Mhm.
Like, I sent him some reference that was kind of like that, but when I saw the actual image, I was like, that's it,
Mhm.
we got it.
Yeah.
So there are a lot of moments like that where it's like, I'm guiding and I'm giving, reference and idea to, but it's always rewarding and fulfilling when you have a partner who's meeting you there, and
Mhm.
pushing you as well.
Absolutely. Nice. Yeah, I love that. I love that y'all working relationship is like that. If it sounds like there's like a lot of trust where you can just throw him the ball and be like, "Hey, look, this is what I want to get done," and
Yeah, right.
he's taking it to the hoop. Um, and I'm glad you brought up Mitchell because I did have a question about him, and we talked a lot about the heroes. So Mitchell is like the main antagonist,
Hmm.
right? Does Mitchell know about Melvin's powers? Because there was a scene where he's like, oh, this is what it feels like to be connected to like a higher mind or like an enhanced, human or something like that. So does he know about the powers? Did he find out, or he's just like, oh, there's something special about this guy, and I need it?
So as at the beginning of the story, Mitchell and the MLC, like they're pulling people from time to be,
Hmm.
like kind of a test group for all of their various messed up products.
Those
And
things were
so
gross. I'm
but
sorry.
it is
The
it,
pauper one, I was like, ew.
but it is like, that's we live in a crazy enough world where like who can say what the
Hmm.
future will hold, but if you gave an AI like full control over a company, like their directive is going to be to make as much money as possible and not
Hmm.
worry about anything else. And so, like initially they're just pulling people from time, but once they get a sense of like, oh, like this guy, maybe they don't know how he's able to do what he's doing, but like they're getting the sense that, oh, like he's got something, he's got this connection.
Hmm.
And then when they start like, doing the experiments on him, they're like, oh, now if I could tap into that, then like I have like a endless, supply, endless,
Yeah.
ability to do all these other things. And so like once he gets the idea, it's like, all right, I can really push this company to the next level. And just all I need is you. All I need is to continue to just like, pull your brain apart. And so initially it's not something that he knows, but once he starts to pick up on it, like Melvin kind of becomes his obsession. And even like using June as something to kind of lure him
Mm.
closer in so he could finally like capture him is part of his plan too.
Okay, dope, dope. Yeah, because I definitely felt that. I was like, oh, he's zeroing in, and
Yeah.
like, is it like he's trying to like take the power, or does he just want the brain? Um,
Mm-hmm.
yeah, cool, man. All right, and I know we're like a little bit over time, so I want to ask you one more question, and it
Yeah.
might be a spoiler like kind of question, because in the end, everyone's back home, happy ending. And then they get this knock on the door, and they're like, "Hey, we keep seeing these ghosts. What are these ghosts?" Because
Yeah.
that's like where the story ends, and then there's nothing else. I'm like, what's happening next?
So I think, we're me and Adigan are very much invested in like wanting to do more of the story, and so
Okay.
like we definitely wanted to leave it in a place where if we got the call and they're like, all right, Ancestral Recall, take two,
Hmm.
like where are you gonna go with it? It's like I think for Melvin, the first part of the story is like, all right, I got the powers. I don't know how the powers work. I'm not necessarily comfortable with this. And he and June go through this whole adventure. And then at the end, it's like, all right, here's the new status quo, right? Like
Hmm.
now Melvin is kind of like, a champion of, people who maybe don't have anywhere else to go or anywhere else to turn. And like they can go to him and see if he's able to solve the problems for them. Um, but the first round, we went real science fictiony with it.
Hmm.
And so the second round, it was kind of like, well, what's another direction that we could take it where, maybe he's
Mm.
dealing with something a little bit more supernatural. Maybe he's dealing with something that's a little bit more, out of his wheelhouse, out of his comfort level. Cause that's again, always the fun part with heroes and characters is like, all
Hmm.
right, we know, Superman can beat up like Brainiac or whatever, but like now it's like, well, Mr. Mxyzptlk, right? And the magic,
Hmm.
it's like, well, he doesn't do that, that messes him up. That's like the opposite of what he's good at. And so, finding something where it's like, all right, Melvin has seemingly, dealt with this sentient AI, but like, what about a ghost? What about, something
Yeah.
that's like completely on the opposite end of the spectrum? So we've got ideas for stories to tell with that, which could be a lot of fun. And even like adding an additional layer when you think about the ancestral recall power, right? Like
Mhm.
he's more or less communing with the dead, right? Like he's almost got a supernatural power himself. And
Right.
so, him now stepping into a space where it's like maybe other people don't have the exact same power as he does, but maybe they have the ability to do something similar to him.
Mm.
And like how would he interact with that or, like bump up against that. So, we've like
Okay.
I said, we
Okay.
got ideas and hopefully we'll be able to tell that story as well.
Yeah, that sounds like a lot of good stuff.
Yeah.
I can't wait for the chapter two. The
And I love me a ghost.
Hmm.
So,
Hmm.
yes. Okay, Jordan, you completed the interview portion of this podcast. Now I'm gonna now we're gonna enter into 17 quick fire question portion. And if you recall in this portion, I'm going to ask you 17 quick fire questions. You can answer with a yes or no, but this is a podcast and we want to hear your full answer if you got one. But you can do whatever you want. Whatever you want. Are you ready?
I'm ready.
Now, these are 17 more quick fire questions. So I kind of had to reach into the the bank for these. So
Hmm.
let's see. Now, if Ancestral Recall had a theme song, what would the song be?
There's a song. This is kind of an obscure song because we did a playlist for Ancestral Recall. Like I made up a playlist of songs and I sent it to Adigan to listen to while
Okay.
working on it. So there's a song called "Great Blacks" by Georgia Ann Muldrow,
Mm.
um, which is kind of, I mean, it feels like the musical equivalent of it, because she's talking about how she gets her power, just in life from,
Hmm.
like the ancestors and how they kind of inspire her. Um, Second quick thing would be Love Supreme by John Coltrane. I feel like is kind of
Okay.
the vibe.
Send us
Okay.
this playlist, man. We like
Yeah, of
Uh,
music.
course. For sure.
you can DM it to me on Instagram because we family
Yeah.
like that.
All right.
Sending your people to me. What? Okay.
Use the people. Use the people.
Yeah, use the people. Who is your favorite black comic book writer of all time?
Mm.
All time, I would say Dwayne McDuffie. I just feel like, from a reader perspective, and also just from a writing perspective, like I really appreciate how he was able to, in his own way, sprinkle Black history into his work,
Mm.
whether it was the milestone stuff or the DC stuff. But then also, it felt like he had such a clear and distinct voice as
Yeah.
a writer, and was very much pushing up against the edge, like the infamous static cover with the condoms on it, you know what I mean? And like the
Hmm.
way that he was very much adamant about like this is what's happening, you know what I mean? Like people are dying from like AIDS, and like, this is like a real thing that's happening in our community, and like that's what Milestone is about, is having these
Hmm.
conversations. So like, what is the problem with Static practicing safe sex? Like what is the issue with him,
Right.
like, wanting to, and it's a love story, it's all this other stuff, you know what I mean? So like I feel like for him doing that, and just like the principles of him, as
Mhm.
somebody who I think, as Black people in life, no matter what, field you're in, somebody's played in your face before and you've just had to be
Hmm.
like, okay. And the way that he was able to kind of, he had to withstand a lot of that but still continue to be, creative, and just a powerful voice in the industry. So definitely Dwayne.
Okay. Okay. Um, if you could go to a fictional world and steal an item, what item would you steal and bring back home?
Oh boy. I would say I would go to the Star Trek universe and I would steal the food replicator.
Ooh.
And just hope it would still work. I don't even know where I'd put
What
it.
kind of batteries do that thing take?
I don't know, but like just the idea of, I do enjoy cooking, but on those days where you're just like, damn, I just need to eat whatever,
Mm.
or you got a craving, and you're just like, man, you know what I really want right now, and then you just press a button and there it is.
Red
So
lobster cheddar biscuits.
yeah.
Exactly. But then my thing is, doesn't that run on like human waste?
I don't know. I don't know how it works. Like I feel like
Let's not ask no more questions.
yeah.
Nobody wants to know how the sausage is made. But yeah, that's a good one. I was thinking like Green Lantern's ring or something from Dungeons
Okay.
and Dragon, but no, that's a great answer. Um, what's harder to write? Uh, dialogue or world building?
That's tough. I feel like dialogue can get so specific, and you really got to think
Mhm,
about who a character is and just like honing that voice for them so that they sound distinct, you know what I mean? Like how Batman sounds, right? Like
mhm,
how Gandalf sounds. Like they've got like particular ways of speaking and stuff.
mhm,
And the
mhm,
world building, I kind of look at them, hand in hand. Like the dialogue is character building, and then the world building is on top of that. And so they're constantly interacting with each other. But I would say dialogue, only because I think for world building you can sometimes just like map something onto it and call it a world, like you can
mhm.
just we're in New York City. and that's it.
Yeah.
As opposed to like, all right, I got to really figure out how this person is going to talk and interact with these people. So,
Hmm.
Okay. If your main character had to team up with one hero, who are you
mm.
picking?
So we're talking about Melvin.
Yeah, Melvin.
Who do I think would be a good or like a fun interaction with him? You know, this is just the first thing that came to my head, and it's I guess how I think it would be fun for him to team up with somebody like Squirrel Girl.
Huh.
Just
Ooh.
because like she's so positive and so like energetic and so like she feels similar to Mirren in some ways, but again,
Hmm.
she's also like super powerful when she needs to be. And I could see them having like a fun back and forth interaction where, she's just fascinated by him and like wanting to ask him all kinds of questions. And he's just like, I just let me
I'm
Yeah.
overwhelmed.
yeah, like a number two runner up would be, now that I'm thinking about it, would be Moon Girl. Uh
Mm.
because
Mm.
I feel like Moon Girl would also be similar to like she really want to figure out how Melvin worked. But then I also think Melvin, like seeing this like super intelligent young black girl, would be like protect her at all costs. You know what I
Yeah.
mean? Like, I'm gonna
Hmm.
do what I
Yeah.
gotta do. So
Yeah. I said the Punisher because I'm sick and demented, but I think the conversations between him and Icon would be pretty
mm-hmm,
interesting.
Yeah.
mm-hmm.
I
Okay.
can see him teaming up with Luke Cage. Like they
Yep.
old like
Yeah.
school buddies or something like that.
What's your favorite? And uh the Croc. The Croc is black. Yeah, the Croc. I think that the Croc
Killer
and
Croc.
him, yeah, Killer Croc, because the Croc he protects the kids in Gotham in the sewers.
hmm
But I think that because how Melvin protects June, not
Yeah.
June, but the other
Mirren.
girl, Mirren.
Marin, yeah.
Um, and you said how he would protect Moongirl. I think that he would have some common things with Killer
I
Croc.
can see it.
Hmm.
Okay. Speaking of Killer Croc, what's your favorite villain origin story?
Mm. I mean the ones that are popping to mind initially, I like the Hood for
Mm.
Marvel. Just because like it feels like a real person, in that way that not everybody is the kingpin, right? Not everybody's going to
Hmm.
be, the one running the show. But also like you've got ambition, and like how far would you go to get the thing that you want, even if it meant
Yeah.
giving up parts of yourself, literally parts of your soul, and then not even is it worth it, but like I think that's one of the trappings of success is that every time you think you got the thing that you want, there's actually another thing that you want. And
Hmm.
so there's no end. There's no like, oh, I made it now. It's like, okay, but now I gotta either like protect where I'm at or get to another spot. So I feel like the Hood is very relatable. And then I'm just a big Doctor Doom fan, so I'm always riding for him. And I think he's again such a fascinating character in that balance of like he's a villain,
Hmm.
there's no question about that, but then he also has his own set of morals and principles that make him who he is. Like he's not
Hmm.
going to do he hates Red Skull because he's a Nazi.
Yeah.
Yeah.
You know what I mean? Like he doesn't rock with that, and like he looks at other villains with disdain as well for some of the things that they do or they believe. Now, is he out here doing all kinds of crazy stuff himself? Absolutely. But like he's able to
But my crazy
still
stuff makes sense.
Yeah. Yeah. How did you think the Hood was portrayed on Ironheart, the TV show?
I mean, it was interesting because I feel like, part of the challenge of something like that is it's not really about him,
Hmm.
but also I feel like every good hero is balanced and measured against their villain. And so I do wish there was a little bit more space for him to have gotten not only fleshed out, but like really like seeing the consequences of like his
Mm.
actions, because a lot of his reveals got like were like real late in the show,
Mm-hmm.
and so like knowing some of that stuff in the beginning would have been more helpful as opposed to like getting near
Mm.
the end and it's like, oh, you're like this person's son, okay, like that.
Mm-hmm.
I would have liked to have known that a couple of episodes ago because that maybe would have informed more of your choices, but
Yeah.
Yeah. Uh, Ironheart was a great show. What
Mhm.
is your what is your favorite book of the year so far?
My favorite book of the year so far is a book called The Score, which
Mm.
is not really, it's not quite a self-help book. I guess it's more of a psychology book. But it's a book that's talking about how a lot of the world that we live in has become gamified, where, like where we're looking at so many things in terms of like successes and failures, and we've really allowed a lot of things to take over just the way that we think and like interact with the world.
Mm-hmm.
But then also it's about games and like the philosophy of games and how games
Mm.
help us, um, be more flexible, more creative, more empathetic, and how, like how your perspective of going into a game can really affect your life, right? Like if you're
Mm.
somebody who is, I forget the exact term that they use in the book, but it's like if you're somebody who goes into a game, and it's not even about not caring if you win or lose, but like you like the process of the game. You like playing the
Mm.
game. You like learning the game. You like having the challenges of the game and kind of figuring things out in that way. And so for you, the enjoyment of the game is the game itself, not necessarily the end result, as
Mm.
opposed to somebody who only cares about winning, who only cares about like and is doing everything in their power to win.
Mm.
Like again, Jared, I'm sure you've played Dungeons and Dragons with people who are just like, I'm trying to win D&D, and it's like that's not really fun because you
Yeah.
can't win the game.
Yeah.
Really,
Now we
like
have
I
to
mean
pay
you
the win
can,
condition and then
yeah,
pursue toward it.
yeah, you can accomplish the goal of the game, but like the fun of Dungeons and Dragons is this communal playing activity, creating this character, thinking about this world, and you're doing it in community with the other people at the table, right? The game doesn't work if you've got six people and five of them are bought in and one of them is like, and I kill this person. You're like, you didn't even talk to us about that. Like you're just doing whatever you want to do. You're just looting everybody. It's not
Yeah.
as fun as opposed to like, oh, okay, this is something that we're sharing and doing together. And so I really enjoyed this book because it put into perspective a lot of things. There's a lot of, I know this is the rapid fire section, or I want to go too far to it, but I would recommend reading it, especially if you're somebody who's kind of struggled with seeing the pace and the speed of the modern world, and feeling like there's some weird things going on in the way that a lot of stuff now is being engineered to like
Mm.
attract and maintain all of our attention, as
Mm-hmm.
opposed to finding the enjoyment of that. Because the last quick thing is that it really talks about how like failure and being bad at things is good for you, like
Mm-hmm.
picking up a new hobby and a new skill and not being good at it, but like the learning process of it, right? Of
Yeah.
like, all right, I don't know how this works, let me figure it out, instead of that instant gratification of like, all right, I tried it, I'm good at it, I'm going to keep doing it, as opposed to like, I tried it, I'm not good at it, so I'm never going to do that again. uh because
Yeah.
like that's just not how life works. Like nobody's good at everything, but also like part of the what gives life its fullness is struggling at different parts to get to where you want to get to. If everything is easy, or if everything is simple, or if everything is just catered to you, then you never learn, you never grow, you never take on different perspectives. So like we can struggle in games and it's safe. It's a safe
Mm-hmm.
place for us to kind of overcome these obstacles, and then we can take that into our real life. But if you're only quote unquote playing to win, then you're kind of missing out on a lot of other things. So
Yeah. And it's because in my book now, Chrysalis, the main character, he struggled with the game. He didn't know how to play. He was running with a chicken with his head cut off, even though he's an ant. And there's this new character who came in just recently on book 6, and he died in the world by getting run over by an um,
Mm,
ice cream truck, and he loves it. He's learning the rules. He is getting
Mm.
it. He is leveling up quickly. So it's fun to see their dynamic. And plus, the new guy is a evil demon. Uh,
mm.
okay, what is your favorite horror movie ever?
Favorite horror movie ever, I would say, is Get Out.
Mm,
Um, I can't think of a movie that I saw in a theater that like hit me in such a similar way. Like I've seen scarier movies than Get
yeah,
Out, and I've seen, definitely movies that gave me a more visceral reaction when watching it. But I feel like Get Out, just for everything that it hit, and like seeing it for the first time,
Hmm.
like that kind of has stayed with me of just like how everything played out, and like when you get to the end you're just like, oh my god. Like
yeah,
you've kind of put everything together. um and I'm more of a psychological horror than like a straight like blood and guts horror kind of person. Like I can
Mm.
appreciate that, but I really like the psychological elements, so I would say Get Out.
okay. Real or fictional? Who is your favorite black couple?
Hmm, this is tough. um because now I'm trying to think of like, I will say as a side note, and this is very, very recent, I cannot express how disappointed I am in Clay Thompson for just the epic fumble of like, it's one thing to end your relationship with Megan Thee Stallion, right? It's one thing
Right.
to say, hey, we did it, it was fun, but we've decided that, like it's probably best if we both find, or maybe we're looking for different things or whatever, and like this is an amicable end. But to like do everything that you did and then get called out in the way that you did, and then I don't know, dude, like that's just like I can't put those pieces together. But as a real as far as a real couple, I mean, I feel like I really do, and I'm not just saying this because of my book, but I do really like Thelonious Monk and Nellie Monk, because I feel like that was just such a real genuine relationship between two people who needed each other, and really loved each other in such a way that's like inspirational. So
To fumble Megan Thee Stallion after you buy her a house, you name your boat after her, after she cooks your parents the best Thanksgiving meal they ever had in their life.
crazy.
Okay, if you could live in any fictional universe, where you going?
This is tough. I think about this sometimes, and like everything has pros and cons, right? Like there's certain places that look like fun, but then like
Zombies.
maybe it wouldn't be fun after a while. I mean, even something like, if you lived in the Mario universe, it's like that's probably fun for a little bit, but then like then
Goombas.
you gotta talk to Toad all the time. Like that's
Yeah.
not fun. So, um, I would say if I could live in a fictional universe, I would like to live in like a D&D type universe, just because of the ability
Mm.
to then like have the adventure, like in that way where I think if, depending on what you wanted to do, like there are so many options and so many ways to go about it. Like, Vecna might show up and that's a problem.
Yeah.
But
Right.
but
TMI.
there's no other place. I mean, there's no other place where it's just like, and you just I mean, if you go to like the Hello Kitty universe, I guess you can like,
Meh.
just chill all day. But that again, like that would kind of get boring after a while. If you want a little bit of adventure, if I'm going to go to a fictional place, I'm trying to like, get the full effect of it. So I would do a D&D universe. I would be a paladin.
Mm.
Ooh.
Beholden to a god, huh?
Mm.
Without no
Uh
other creature.
Okay. Okay.
yeah. I don't know what vow I would take, but
Yeah.
then because you get a little bit of the magic and you get a little bit of the sword play. So
Hmm.
best of both
Mm.
worlds.
Okay. All right. That's very interesting. That's a whole nother conversation that we can have next time you're coming on. Who's your favorite black sci-fi character?
Hmm. This is also tricky. You know who I'm going to say, and it's it's probably not a good thing, but I don't know if either of you saw Alien Earth,
Yeah,
Not yet.
but
it's good.
Morrow from Alien Earth. I don't know. Something about
Oh,
him felt like, it didn't end the way that I wanted it to for him, but like when he was in it, like that scene, not a spoiler, but the scene where he's like plugging into the ship and he's like
mhm.
sweating profusely while he's like interrogating
Yeah.
the other. I was just like, what is happening? But I really, yeah, I mean, he was such an interesting and like flawed and complicated character where you're just like, I do want him to do the thing that he wants to do, but what he wants to do is not good.
Yeah.
And so, but he's also black, so I'm rooting for him. So I don't know. I'm just like, ugh.
Hmm.
But I
Hmm.
really enjoyed his character, and the actor who played him was terrific as well. So,
Yeah. Yeah. I liked him too, and it's a good show. You need to watch it,
mhm,
Marcus,
Okay, okay. I'll write it down right now.
especially because you can like uh binge it. Because going week to week on that was
it was tough.
grueling. Yeah. All right. What's one trope you're tired of in comics?
I mean, I guess obviously the comic book deaths can get tiresome after
Mm,
a while, but I would say I am kind of over, and it's kind of two different things, but like either the person like loses their powers and they have to like figure out how to be a hero without their
Yeah.
superpowers anymore, or the Iron Man, Batman, like, oh, they don't have any money anymore, so how are they still going to be,
Hmm.
the superhero? It's like, but like Batman will lose his money and still have all the Batman things, so it's like, well, this isn't
Yeah.
really different. And like Iron Man will
yeah.
lose all his money and still have the Iron Man suit, so it's like, well, he's still Iron Man. Like, nothing has changed. Like he can't make more
Nothing's
things, I
changed.
guess. But like, and it's also in those two particular cases, you're telling me these white men can't get more money.
Hmm.
No,
They can
it was
That's
definitely get
always
crazy.
along.
because
The
on both
faithful got
times.
the.
On both times, because these are both recent comic book tropes that happened, they were no longer billionaires, but they
Right.
still
Mm,
had some millions they could,
right.
spend. So I was like,
They don't have
what
$1
are we
billion.
doing?
They have $999 million.
Right,
Yeah,
right.
or like if Bruce Wayne wanted to be part of like a venture startup operation,
Hmm.
like he could. I mean, you look at all these people hitting the lick on like Kalshi or whatever, like Batman can't come up off a prediction market real quick if he needs some money. Like that's,
Right.
you know
Yeah.
what I mean?
All right. If aliens come to Earth with the intent to kill, what
Oh.
comic book are you handing them to save humans?
To save humans? Oh
Hmm.
boy. Uh I mean, they're already coming with the intent to kill. I feel like we're in a tough position. Am I trying to show them the beauty of humanity? Am I trying to scare them off? I
Mm.
would hand them one of my favorite all-time comic books is a comic called Day Tripper, which is about a
Ooh,
uh
I've read this.
obituary writer who at the end of each chapter he dies,
Yeah.
and
Mm.
then the next chapter starts up again and the next period of his life. So like if he had kept living, what would happen next? And I think it is a very beautiful story about, humanity and like the value of life and like the preciousness of each moment and each period of time in your life. And so maybe that would be enough to persuade them to not kill
Mm.
us.
Or it would persuade them like, oh, humans are completely cool with dying. Let's
Yeah,
destroy
they
Yeah.
just keep coming back. Then maybe they'll just completely misinterpret it. But I mean, they were going to do that anyway. So,
Yeah. Um, I love Day Tripper, by the way.
hmm
All right. Who is your favorite writer artist duo in comics?
my favorite all-time
Mm.
writer artist duo, I would say, is Ed Brubaker and Sean Phillips. Just because I really love all of their collaborations. Whether it's Criminal, whether it's Fatale, whether it's a lot of the newer stuff that they've been doing. And I think just in terms of like the crime fiction like there's other people who do it, but it does feel like everybody's kind of chasing them. And it does feel like, one of my favorite things with a writer artist duo is when it feels like they're just one person, like it feels like they've kind of melded into one specific identity. So I would say Ed Brubaker and Sean Phillips.
Okay.
Mm.
Okay. Cool. Cool. What is one show or movie that you're looking forward to in 2026?
I'm gonna say I love Boosters. Like I think
Ooh.
that movie looks like a lot of fun. I really like Boots Riley. And like just it feels like what he's really good at is like giving you just an insane idea, like something that you read the plot and you're like, that doesn't work. How does that work? Like what's going on? Like if somebody gave you the plot of Sorry to Bother You, would be like, this is what? But
Yeah.
then you watch the movie and you're like, oh, okay, like he's
Mhm.
he's he's locked it in. And so I feel like this looks like another home run with that. The cast looks great, and I feel like he's always got something up his sleeve in the terms of like just the overall message of his film. So I'm excited to see where he's going with this one.
Yeah. That and Is God is what
Hmm.
I am really looking forward to.
Mm.
All right. What's one word you'd use to describe your writing style?
Um, I like to think that my writing is I'm gonna go with humanist.
Mm.
Like I
Mm.
feel like my one of my favorite writers is Kurt Vonnegut, who was I think he was like the head of the humanist organization for a while there, or like the humanist church. But I think for me, like humanism really is just about like how we are all the same in a lot of
Mhm.
levels, but we're also, very much our own people. And it's just about like looking at each other, treating each other with respect,
Mhm.
and treating each other with just like a level of grace that I feel like, we're all nobody's perfect and nobody's going to get it right all the time.
Mhm.
But the constantly like just trying to be holier than thou when like we're all in the bud together. Like, there's no reason to act like, anybody's got it more figured out than anybody else. And so I think with a lot of my work, I like to try to give really grounded, even within something like Ancestral Recall, where like he's doing all this crazy stuff, he's going on all these adventures, but like Melvin feels like a person that you would know. If you took the superpowers away, it's like, oh,
Mhm.
that's he's got unk energy, like you can feel
Yeah.
that the out, So I guess that's the word I would describe my writing is kind of feels like, where I'm giving everybody, I'm painting everybody with, an individual brush, like I want to respect everybody's individual perspectives, but
Mhm.
also, that there's a lot of things that connect us and, trying to highlight those things as well.
Okay. Final question. Since since
Let's
you
do it.
have been on your podcasting tour, how is our podcast in comparison to all the other podcasts that
Mm,
you've been on?
Mm. Comparison doesn't
okay,
mean the joy,
okay,
Jared.
okay. I will say, I mean, this is not a shot or a shade at any other podcast that I've done or that I've been on. But it is interesting, I think, in discussing this book in a lot of different places. Like whenever I'm in an all black space,
Mhm.
there's a level of comfort and understanding and like being able to just have conversations naturally without explaining things or
Mhm.
like going into greater detail about things that are just understood, culturally. And so I really appreciate not even just you guys having me on for a third time, but every time, it's a lot of fun just to be able to chop it up because I think we're all on the same vibe and same level in terms of like, cultural stuff, but also like, geeky and nerdy stuff. And like it makes the conversation really easy and fun. Like I don't know how long we've been talking, but it feels like,
Yeah.
5 minutes, like it just flies by, so
No,
Absolutely.
thank you. Thank you so much. Well, Jordan, that was 17 questions. Hey, Jordan, I got to tell you, um, and I've been meaning to tell you
Mm.
that since you came on here the first time, you gave us one piece of advice that has given our podcast much success and much uh, credence that we use to this day, and that is just reach out to who you want to be on. And
Yeah.
I've done that, and we've gotten TJ Stews, Ben Corey Jones,
Mhm.
Marewa Awadali, uh, who did we have on last week? The choreographer and director.
Jamal Sims.
Jamal Sims, who is writing a movie now with Oprah Winfrey.
Hmm.
So that is all thanks to you. We owe
Hey.
so much success to Jordan Clark. So I have got to say thank you, because
Yeah.
I would have never thought. I thought you had to go through people to find to find these people. Now it would be like an absorbent amount of money, but
Mhm.
you really opened the door for me and this podcast. So I have gotta eternally and forever say thank you to you. You are the godfather of this podcast, which you have given us this inspiration, and you have made this podcast as successful as it is today. So thank you,
Hey.
thank you, thank you. And thank you for your kind words. I know that we try to make this thing a good a good uh place, a comfortable place for people to be on. And we are also happy to have you on for a fourth, fifth, ninth, 20th, 35th time, because it's always a great thing. And yeah, thank you so much for all your advice and all your compliments and everything.
Hey, appreciate you guys too. And give yourselves some credit because y'all made it happen. You know what I mean? Like you put the work in and you did, all the things that you needed to do to make it successful. So claps for y'all. Keep it
Thank
going. Always
you.
happy to see your success.
Okay, and if you want to read Ancestral Recall, it is available at your local comic book store. I think you can order it online.
Absolutely.
Get it. The price is too low. The price is too low. And y'all should get it immediately, because this is probably one of the best books. It's a great centerpiece at your home, and
Mhm.
a good thing to talk about with your friends, especially that last little splash page. It's one of my
Hmm.
favorite
Hmm.
pages after the horse.
Mhm.
uh, Jordan, where can they find you?
You can find me on all the social medias at JRSosa18, JRSOSA18. You can also check out the White People Won't Save You podcast wherever you get your podcasts.
Nice.
And yeah, you can find us on Black Geek Energy for your socials. And this is an amazing episode, Jordan. Thank you. You got to come on again.
Hmm.
Um, we may just have you or as a comic or comic book special guest to
Liaison.
talk comic book. Maybe
Hey,
because I had Dwayne McDuffie. Um, I was thinking we could do an episode on him because she talked about him. Maybe you could come back on and talk about Dwayne McDuffie.
I
So
would love to.
Mhm.
Let me
yes,
know.
okay, I will. And yeah, I think that's the end of Black Geek Energy, guys.
Yeah, BGE out. Appreciate you for coming on again.
Yeah, appreciate y'all. Anytime.